We opened the 12-13 season with John Corigliano's Gazebo Dances. I'm fascinated by these pieces because they were originally written as piano pieces for friends.
Right.
Are there personalities or personality traits depicted in any of these pieces?
A little bit, yes. Samuel Barber did that in Souvenirs.
Yes.
He wrote the same thing, piano four hands, because piano four hands is sort of at-home music. Even though it's played in the concert hall, we think of that more as music you play with friends at home than solo piano music, which is more concert music. And so I wanted to write for friends, and I feel I caught the personalities of some of the friends, and I also had the pleasure of thinking of this as not concert music, as music at home. And then when I finished it as a four-hand piece, I actually arranged it both for band, concert band, and for symphony orchestra.
Yes.
And the concert band was a commission. They asked me to write a piece, and I thought Gazebo Dances was perfect because it had the idea of a little gazebo and a band in a country town playing this music, and it's very light. It's fun. It's not a tragic piece at all. The irony is the last movement of that piece, a tarantella, is written for two people, one of which developed AIDS dementia and died mad with AIDS, and I used the tarantella in my first symphony. The second movement is called Tarantella, and it's that music seen through the eyes of madness. And if you listen to that, it's like starts with a shriek and ends with a primal scream, and then suddenly it's lucid, and suddenly it jumps to something else, and it's like a mind that cannot focus and cannot stay on it.
Right.
And it's very scary music. But in the piano version, which was written before AIDS ever existed,
Yes.
it's happy and joyful and tarantellas are. Then I was in Rome once, and I was waiting. I think friends were arriving, and I had kind of a couple of weeks where I didn't have much to do. And I said, why don't I get some music paper and orchestrate Gazebo Dances? I think for a nice medium-sized orchestra, this should be good. And what I did also was I said, why don't I rebar it? I was barring it in 6/8, 2/4, all of that, and that's how the band version goes out.
Yep.
Then I rebarred it into, just like Bernstein did that with The Rite of Spring, rebarring it. I rebarred it so that it's in general quarter note beats, 2/4, 3/4,
Yep.
type of things. And the 5/8 measures and so forth come as syncopations, but since there's nobody playing on the beat, they still sound like they did originally.
Yep.
And I found that the players like that because they like the nice steady beating, and they can play with all the kinds of syncopations in the world because they're very good at reading. So this has affected my composing since, that now when I write a complex rhythmic thing, I try to put it in a simpler beat notation so that the orchestra has a better time, the conductor has a better time, but it still is irregular the way I like it.
Good. And the first one is dedicated to your mother, Rose.
Yes. And to her best friend, because they used to play piano four-hand music together.
Right. But why Moliere's imaginary invalid then?
Because I stole that, as I have in many of my pieces. I steal from myself. From a score I wrote to the imaginary invalid as incidental music score for a theater in New Jersey. And I wanted all of that light bouffa quality and the kind of wonderful French wittiness and this kind of Candide overture in French. So I wrote that, and then when I just took the title because that's what it was originally.
Right. That explains it. I was thinking of Toinette, who is the most sympathetic and supportive character in the play, as depicting your mother. Rather than Argan.
Getting much too deep.
Sorry.
This is not a deep piece. This is one of my-
They're wonderful dances.
They are nice. They're happy pieces, and I think that one of the tragedies of 20th century music that is now ceasing to be so in the 21st century is that because of the angst and Germanic pressure of, well, serial music and the seriousness of the concert, composers never expressed anything but torture and angst, and there was really very little joy expressed by composers. And I think it's important to express joy, and these pieces are joyful pieces, and they're fun. That waltz where you keep missing a beat,
Yes.
and you're always on the wrong beat.
Yeah, peg leg again.
Peg leg waltz. I kind of did that, and I thought this is going to be fun for everybody to play, but it's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
It's very tricky. You really count, but you know that you're all of a sudden va pa, and the pa is on the and the is on one of the pas, and you know it's like that. And then the adagio was actually from another incidental music play, the thing I dedicated to Haida Hermans, who was my father's accompanist,
Right.
who had terrible problems with her body and eating and all sorts of things. And then she discovered Christian Science and suddenly became totally healthy. And she stopped playing concerts and she became kind of managerial force in Connecticut, in Westport, and did a lot of concerts and organized all sorts of young performers and competitions and things, and became the happiest person I ever saw. And just this beautiful person. She was always giving. She gave to everyone. This adagio seemed so right for her because she was totally about loving people.
But it is a beautiful adagio.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, John. We look forward to performing Gazebo Dances as the opening work of our 12-13 season.
Thank you so much.